Hey guys. Hey everybody. It's 6:45. Here I am waiting for you all. Gonna wait and see who hops on here. Hopefully we'll have some more people today like we did last week. Hey, let me know if you guys can hear me and everything okay. Hey Robin. Yeah, if you can see me and you can hear me okay, just send me an emoji or say hey or something in the comments that I know you can see me. Hey Sarah. Yeah, last week when I watched the video back, I noticed there were some glitches with the audio, so hopefully you guys could still understand what I was saying. Hey, Linda. Hey, Heather. Amina, that's a pretty name. Good. I'm glad you guys are here. I don't want to get too involved in case there's more people going to show up. Hey, long time watcher. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Good. I'm glad you guys are here. This week shouldn't be as long as last week because week 2 was quite a bit shorter than week 1. Hey, Becca. Have you guys already read week 2? Hey, Angela. Did everybody read week 2, or are you still working through it, or do you even have the book? I know a couple people told me they didn't even have the book, which is totally fine. You can still, I think. Hey, Ashley, I think you guys can still keep up even without the book. Heather, recognize a lot of your all's names from the YouTube video, like comment section. Hey, Tammy. So did you guys already read week 2? Thank goodness they were shorter, right? Yeah, you did. Were you glad it was shorter? Because week 1 was killer. It was really long. Hey, everybody that's just coming on. You haven't missed anything yet. So just to recap week 1, I'm sure you may have already been here last week, but just in case you weren't, we talked a lot about fear. And I think a lot of us here talked about the fact that most of our fears and our worries came from our kids, which, I think that's a common one. You still have to order it. It's okay. You're all right. You're not. That's what I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, I was going to say, don't worry if you haven't read it or you're behind. It's okay. You'll catch up, or you don't even have to have the book if you don't need, if you feel like you're getting something from the live stream, you may not need the book. So don't worry. Anyway, we talked about a lot of those fears. And I think one thing that I really enjoyed about last week was talking about how a lot of us felt like if we prayed better or we were better Christians or better people, that God would be more likely to answer our prayers, which I feel is totally not true. I think He answers everyone equally. It's just maybe what we're praying for is not the right time, or maybe what we're praying for is not what He wants for us. He's got something better for us. So I thought that was really interesting that so many of us felt like we just weren't worthy to have our prayers answered. And that's why we think they're not being answered, but that really isn't the case. So that was week 1 pretty much. Like I said, if you are behind, you don't have the book, you didn't watch week 1 yet, or whatever, it's fine. You're here now and you can catch up and follow along with us, as you have time. Just make sure if you have any thoughts or anything you want to add that you comment either here in the live stream, or if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to leave anything you have to say in the comments and I will get back to you. Okay, so week 2 was a lot shorter, thankfully. And I talked about how a lot of our worries a lot of our worries stem from fears, and whether that's a fear of something that may or may not happen, or a fear of something being out of your control, which we also talked about last week. I'm a control freak, so whenever something doesn't go the way that I want it to, or I can't control it, I get really scared, and sometimes that makes me angry, as much as I hate to say it. And fear destroys our peace and our joy and makes the devil super happy because it gives him an entry point, a weak spot in our foundation and our faith. He can kind of chip away at and kind of keep us worrying and guessing and fearing, and that makes us all farther away from God. So God tells us in the Bible, and I looked this up. It said God tells us not to fear, and He's in control 365 times in the Bible. Did you guys know that? Because I didn't know that. But I think it's really funny. There's 365 days in the year, and He tells us 365 times not to worry. And so clearly He knows this is something that we're all going to struggle with. So that made me feel a little bit better. So one thing, my favorite thing out of week 2 and week 1 was how she says that worry is a habit. And I never thought about that before. Did you guys, if you read it already, what do you think about the fact that worry and constant worry, especially over the same things, is a habit? How do you guys feel about that? Does anybody agree with that? Yeah, and I mean, isn't it funny because I never thought about that, Heather, but it definitely makes sense to me. I'm sorry, my notes are falling down. Yeah. Not to say that you not to say you don't have fear. You know, God gives us natural instinctual fear for like not jumping off buildings or if you skydive, you're going to be afraid because you're cheating, you're trying to cheat death and all these things can happen. There's a difference in that type of fear and worry that we have that we give something to God and we say, "Help me with this." But then you constantly hash it over in your brain, 5 million times repeatedly thinking about it, worrying about it, obsessing over it. Yeah, I mean, you never think of it that way, but it does seem that way to me too. Yeah, you agree that so I thought that was really interesting. And what was really encouraging about that is that habits, like a lot of things, can be changed with thought and effort. Yes, it is very hard to stop worrying once you start. It is. It's like falling down a rabbit hole. You just kind of get deeper and deeper and deeper. And then some of those worries are not even really rational. Yeah, you agree too, Ashley. I know. It's funny how sometimes things that seem kind of obvious, we don't notice, like patterns in our own life, like worrying being a habit. We don't think about it that way until somebody says it and you're like, "Well, duh. Why didn't I think about that?" So, that was encouraging to me because habits can be changed with deliberate thought, effort, and repetition. And it's not going to happen overnight. Constant worrying about things that you already turned over to God is silly. It really is, but it is so hard. And you would think that we're smarter than this, that we'd be able to just be like handing it. I mean, talk about amazing. What it would feel like to have a worry and give it to God and literally not think about it again. I wish I had that peace. I really hope and pray that over time we'll be able to have that, at least about some things, because I worry about so many things all the time that it's exhausting. Hey, from Colorado. A long way. Is it cold there yet? It's pretty cold here today. Oh, you found me because of homeschooling, and now you see we have a true connection in Jesus. Yes. This has been a really good community. I mentioned that in a video. I had to film a bunch of videos today, and I was like, hey, I was thinking how encouraged I've been so far with this Bible study, just even announcing it. And then last week and now this week, and so many of you guys told me that you're going to do it with me and read the book and, be on here with me and or watching it on the replay, which is fine too. And that was really encouraging to me and humbling to me because you tend to think that in today's times and society that no one cares about religion anymore. No one cares about God anymore because that's what people keep showing us on the media. But it's really encouraging to me that even 26 of you who are on here now, and then the ones of you that are watching this on the replay, that you guys care and you still have a love of God or a love of yourself and trying to better yourself and your relationship with Him or getting to know Him. Some of you have told me that you're not even believers and you wanted to do this study with me. And so that's really, really encouraging. Okay, so like I was talking about, worrying being a habit. Uh, just like exercise. So, you're not going to wake up in the morning and be like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds today. I mean, that would be nice, but it takes a lot of concentrated effort and deliberate thought. And, you're making a lot of these small changes that are going to make a big difference in the end. And it's retraining your brain to take the stairs instead of the elevator, drink water instead of soda all the time. Don't have that second piece of cake. You're making all of these deliberate decisions that are going to change your life and change the way that your brain thinks about things. And so for me, I've worked out pretty much 5 to 6 days a week for probably 4 or 5 years. So to me, that is part of my day. I don't think about really when I'm like, if I'm going to do it, it's when I'm going to do it. My brain automatically knows it's a habit. I'm going to work out today because it's Monday through Friday. Hello from California. So I'm going to stop for a second, look at the comments. From Canada, you don't go to church, but you find these live streams comforting. They always come at the right time. Well, I don't think that happens for no reason, does it? It's so funny how whenever we don't know, sometimes we need something and then something pops up that is perfect for what you were going through or what you were thinking or dealing with, and you think, that was a funny coincidence. It's not always a coincidence. It's, God, I think, that has most of what, to do with that. You love to being able to stop and write down your ideas. It makes you more likely to recognize your fear and try to break the loop. That's a good idea. Yes, God is amazing. Okay, so thinking of worry as a habit makes me feel more empowered about changing that part of my life. So I'm in the last few days since trying, I know it's only been a few days, but since finishing week 2, every time I start to have a worry and it's something I've already given to God, I try to think of it as a physical thing. I try to think of, I have handed this off and he has it. And every time I'm starting to worry about that same thing, I'm trying really hard to think about something else. So I'll say a Bible verse, or I'll say something I'm thankful for, or I'll just change my thought altogether, even if it's not to something religious, just something good that happened that day, or something my kids did that was funny, or petting Loki, who is snoring right there. Something like that. So, what are some things that you guys think that you could do whenever you start to worry about something you've already given to God? What are some things you think you could do to help? You said write it down, but what are some other, people's thoughts on things you can do to break that habit and that thought process to not worrying about something you've already handed to God and putting that thought into something more productive? You were in a Bible study class, but you read the topic and decided to listen because you tend to be a worrier. I think a lot of us are. Each day in life that we take for granted, everything is about choices. We choose to follow God, we choose to love our spouse, we choose everything. So faith is a habit. Yeah, and your relationship with God is a habit. I come and go in these phases where I'm really, really good about working on my relationship with Him, and then I get lazy and I'm like, well, I'm busy. I don't have time to do my devotional now, or I'm too sleepy to say my prayers, but I wasn't too sleepy to scroll on Instagram before I went to bed. Every time I go to look at my phone instead of my devotional, I feel guilty. And not to say you can't look at Instagram or you can't watch TV or whatever, but I'm just saying I'm making those choices sometimes to do other things instead of spend time with God. And that is a habit too. You're very right. Yeah, God does have it. Meditate, focusing on someone else and serving them. That is definitely a good one. Calling a friend that's a believer and trying to figure out why you can't give it to the Lord and why you're just hanging on to worry. Yeah. And I really like the list idea. I thought that was a really good one too, to physically write it down. I think we're very physical creatures a lot of times. That's why I was saying I try to imagine myself handing God whatever this is. And so, same thing with writing it down. A lot of times, writing things down for us is what we need to kind of solidify it in our brain. Quiet time with God and prayer. That's always a good one. So that's really the bulk of what happened in week 2. Do you guys have any other takeaways or anything that stood out to you in week 2 besides what we've already talked about? Sorry, I'm trying to put these comments down here. Anybody have anything else to add? Like I said, I was glad it was kind of a short week. You've been in 3 religions. Sure, that's been stressful. Do you feel like people were welcoming to you, or did you tell people that you had been struggling with trying to find a religion, or how do you feel you were treated because of that? Yeah, confidence in God's love. And again, going back to what I said in week 1, none of us are worthy for anything, but God gives us all of these gifts and He answers prayers that, match up with His will for us out of love and complete grace, because none of us deserve anything. Yeah, you felt like an outsider. That can be really hard, even if you didn't have the 3 religion issue. I've been a Baptist my whole life, and there's plenty of times that I have gone into churches and felt like either you're too religious, you're not religious enough. And I get that even other places now. I won't say where, but there are places in my life where I'm the most like, what's the word? I don't know, old school, conservative person that I feel like I know. And then I go other places and people act like that I'm some kind of heathen because my kids do, I don't want to say this, but they do Halloween stuff because we've always done it as kids. We never thought about it as a pagan holiday. It was just a fun day to dress up. And that's all we do. But when people find out that we do that, they give me kind of sketching for that. And I know it's supposed to be wrong, but we just think of it as a way to dress up and have fun. And the girls, usually they'll have a party or an event to go to, and nothing evil or gory or anything like that. Just fun to dress up. I don't know how I got off on that tangent. The book will be linked below. Once this is done, I'll save it. This is the book that we're reading. It's Live a Praying Life Without Fear. It's on Amazon. You can get it on the Kindle. And then some people have said that It's on Hoopla. It's an app that you can get through your library, I believe, and it's free on there. So this is what we're reading right now. Yeah, writing it down is a good idea. You loved how it said, we want our situation fixed and he wants our souls healed. Very true. And we want stuff done like right now, you know? Well, Loki, he just burped. That wasn't me this time, if you heard that. Yes. Yeah, I know. And back to what she said about feeling like an outsider. That's people. That is not God. That is people who are sinful and judgmental that make you feel that way. Just because they're in God's house doesn't mean people always treat you like God would. So just keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out where you fit in, where you belong, where you're meant to be. Um, God would not treat you that way. That is people who are ruining something of God's that is perfect. So you were Jehovah Witness and Mormon. See, you guys are being so nice to each other. That's so sweet. I love that. I love that you guys are so encouraging. I feel like I'm getting behind on comments. Yeah, writing down prayers. When God answers, record it. That's a good one. Because how many times do we ask for something and then we get it and we're like, we totally forget all about it? I'll tell you guys a corny story if you want to hear it. It's really corny. A long time ago, I had written this thing about my ideal man. I guess I was in high school. I don't know. Well, I found that letter years later, and I had written down all these things about how I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I wanted to do this, and I wanted to blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And then now that I'm married, I told my husband, I was like, a lot of those things that I wanted, I got in my life now, and I never, that was really really cool to see, to look back on what I wanted and see how those things have unfolded. Not everything, but some things. But yeah, how many times do we pray for something and then you get it and you instantly forget that you got it and God gave it to you? So anyway, that is, unless you guys have anything else to add, just trying to make a conscious effort to write down or whatever you can do to redirect your thoughts and your worry. Whenever you start to have that worry, make sure you've given it to God, obviously, first. If you've given it to Him, figure out what you can do. Even you can make a list of things you can do, or a picture you can look at on your phone, or something that motivates you or inspires you, or a thought you can have, or a Bible verse you can recite, or something you can do. I remember when I was struggling with all my anxiety at nighttime and everyone was asleep but me. And I felt alone because I thought, I didn't know if I was going to wake up in the morning. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I would tell myself over and over in my head, God loves me and He will take care of me, over and over and over and over until I fall asleep. That was like the only way that I could go to sleep and try to give myself any peace at all. Oh, you're in your car watching. Hopefully you're near Wi-Fi because you're going to ruin your data. I think about that with everything. I think about everything and like, oh, we're on data. Turn that off. Yeah, you have a constant worry about your daughter getting sick. Yeah, we talked about that last week. I think most of us had most of our fears were centered around our kids. Motivational quotes, yeah. So all of that stuff that you can do. Oh, thank you. One of your favorite channels. That's a big honor. Um, whatever you can do. So make a list maybe this week, and if you want to share it next week, that's fine. But some things that you can do to redirect your thoughts whenever you have those worries. Get away from you, Satan. Yeah, that's a good one. So next week, and I wrote down the day because I do think I said the wrong day in the that first video. Yeah, next Wednesday is October 23rd. So same time, same place, 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be reading week 3. So if you can, try to get that read. If not, or you don't have the book, don't stress about it. I'm hoping that in all my rambling that you will have picked up enough from the week that you don't really feel like you have to read it. I mean, not that you shouldn't, but if you don't want to, or you can't have, don't have time or whatever, don't worry about it too much. I'm glad you were able to join too. Do I do this live chat every week? Well, I will be this month. I've got today, obviously, and then next Wednesday, and then the next Wednesday is the last 2 weeks. There's 4 weeks in this Bible study. So yeah, Wednesdays at 6:45. You can read it online. Yeah. Glad you guys were able to come. And what was I going to say? I don't remember. Oh, I mentioned it in a video earlier today, but if you guys want me to do this again at some point, I'm rolling it around in my brain. I mean, you guys, I've been scared to death to do this. And last week was way worse than this week. I was way more nervous last week than I was this week. But um, if you guys want me to do this again, I may or may not do it live. Does the live portion mean that much to you, or would you just as soon me just make them like pre-recorded videos and then we read a book or whatever and then talk about it and do it in the regular comments, like talk together? Let me know your thoughts on that. Just kind of throwing that out there and rolling that around in my head. If I'm going to do it again, trying to figure out a situation where does live make that much difference to you, or do you not care? You did so much better with your worries this week. You're learning that my plan is good, but God's is better. I'm so glad. That's so encouraging. And I recognize your name because you always sign it Diana, but it says David. So it always confuses me. Fellow homeschooler, Disney lover, and well, we're like long lost sisters. I mean, what else is there? Christian homeschooling Disney lovers. I mean, that's like the ultimate, right? So you want me to do it again? So you want me to do it live, or do you not care about that aspect of it? Because I know there's not that many people on here now. We've lost some people, 29 people. That's still a lot more than I think I would thought I would get. But um, I just don't know if I like talking to you guys this way. I think it'd be fun to just to talk this way for no reason, even without the book study. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. I'll be able to go back and read the comments later. And just know that if you're watching this on the replay, you should be able to see the live chat comments in the comments section. Like there's a little section that says live chat comments. You click on that, it should open up a little window that shows you what was said in the live stream in case you want to go back and read that. So next week, October 23rd, 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be on here unless I have any kind of technical issue. And we'll be talking about week 3. So if you can read it, great. If not, show up anyway. We'll still talk together and kind of motivate each other, help each other, encourage each other. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate it. See you later. Bye.